So, YouTube, on one hand, this is a platform that I owe my career to. I'm always going to be grateful on some front because this is a platform that's granted me a lot of opportunities. It's allowed me to create this community with you guys. On the other hand, given how many people depend on YouTube for a living, I think the company has a responsibility to just be better about their policies and the way they enact features. And lately, YouTube has come under fire because of the way they've implemented, or rather, de-implemented verification. They have gone out of their way to de-verify already verified channels. So lately, you would be in one of two camps. Either you got this email right here saying that you no longer meet criteria for verification, or you got this email right here saying that you do meet criteria and that your channel is still verified. And it's just a situation that people don't understand. It feels like a slap to the face for a lot of people who worked very hard for many years on this platform. People with millions of subscribers we have seen get de-verified, and nobody really knows exactly why. But it is clear, based on this email, that they're focused on highly searched creators, artists, public figures, or companies. They're focused on creators, celebrities, or brands, as well as widely recognized outside of YouTube and have a strong presence online. So they're trying to foster a YouTube community based on people's popularity outside of YouTube. It doesn't make much sense, and it gives off this feeling that they're definitely pursuing celebrities and wide-regarded personalities rather than, these really unique and personalized and niche creators that are also important to YouTube and that shaped YouTube into what it is today. So it's caused a lot of backlash, but fortunately, all that backlash has resulted in YouTube saying, okay, we gotta back off. So this information was relayed by website The Verge, and they provided a link to this blog post right here. Now, this is actually the same post that is linked in this email that I got where my channel has remained verified. If you click here, it'll take you to this. And everything below this line is what I originally saw. They talked about the new look here where the check mark becomes this gray background. They talked about how authenticity and prominence are the two most important factors in determining whether a channel is eligible for being verified. And whereas before you had to have a minimum of 100,000 subscribers, now the criteria changed and they didn't really exactly detail what it takes now for people to stay verified or become verified. So there's more ambiguity now. But in light of the backlash, they have made some changes, and I'd like to read to you how they backtracked and how things are now. So it reads right here, updates to YouTube's verification program. This is an update posted at 3 p.m. on September 20th, 2019. This reads, yesterday we announced changes to the verification badge. The idea behind this update was to protect creators from impersonation and address user confusion. Really, because it caused more confusion. Every year we receive tens of thousands of complaints from creators about impersonation. Also, nearly a third of YouTube users told us that they misunderstood the badge's meaning, associating it with endorsement of content and not an indicator of identity. While rolling out improvements to this program, we completely missed the mark. We're sorry for the frustration that this caused, and we have a few updates to share. First, we heard loud and clear how much the badge means to you. Channels that already have the verification badge will now keep it and don't have to appeal. That is absolutely the right move. It's one thing to say from here on out, here's how we'll do things. It's another to backtrack and look back at channels that have already been verified and take that away from them, despite the fact that these channels earned that verification, at least most of them. A lot of people know that all of these channels that are getting de-verified are the real deal, and YouTube is stripping that away and saying you're not the real deal anymore, or you're not good enough to be verified as the real deal anymore. It made no sense. The post continued, we'll continue reviewing those channels to ensure we're protecting creators from impersonation. Just like in the past, all channels that have over 100,000 subscribers will still be eligible to apply. That, I think, is also the right move. 100,000 people at that point, that's a lot of subscribers, and so I think that's a good benchmark for what you need in order to get verified and to ensure that people don't start impersonating you. Because if YouTube's goal really is to stop impersonation, then they cannot set that bar too high, because even people with 100,000 subscribers can start getting impersonated in some way. So it's unfair for them to go in and say, well, only people who have super high prominence get to get our attention when it comes to getting impersonated. Anyone below our standards don't get that privilege. That's a shitty thing to do. So it's good that they're still keeping this clear-cut baseline for how many subscribers you need to get this kind of verification, protection, this label, whatever you want to call it. The post and added will reopen the application process by the end of October. Going forward, we'll review those channels to verify their identity. If we determine that a channel is attempting to impersonate, we won't verify that channel and may take additional action. We have improved the process and will verify channels that are authentic. Your channel must represent the real creator, brand, or entity you're claiming to be. We'll look at a variety of factors to help verify your identity and may also ask for additional info or documentation, and they'll verify channels that are complete. Your channel must be public and have a description, channel icon, and content, and be active on YouTube. So all of this, I think, is very fair. They should absolutely check every submission. Have they not been doing that already? And then the post closed with, yesterday we also announced a new look for the verification badge that will be displayed consistently across screens. Due to all the changes we are announcing today, the new badge will roll out next year. So they're gonna focus on ensuring that the verification system is in place before making this cosmetic change right here, which I don't really care about. You can make it a check mark, a gray background bar, whatever it is. As long as the people who deserve to be verified are verified, that's all well and good. And also, Susan Wojcicki, she took to Twitter to make further clarifications on this. And by the way, she's the CEO of YouTube, for those who don't know. She said, to our creators and users, I'm sorry for the frustration and hurt that we caused with our new approach to verification. While trying to make improvements, we missed the mark. As I write this, we're working to address your concerns and we'll have more updates soon. And then she posted this update saying, we heard loud and clear how much the badge means to you. Channels that currently have verification will now keep it without appeal. We'll continue reviewing those channels to ensure we're protecting creators from impersonation. More on our changes, and then she links to that blog post. And for those wondering why this checkmark is so important, this article by The Verge highlights, I think, a lot of important elements to this. So first of all, the checkmark does in fact affect the likelihood that the video you post will show up. So if you are a verified channel, it is more likely that when people search for something, your video will come up on top versus channels that are not verified. It is known that verified content and channels take precedence over the ones that don't. There's also the fact that regardless of what YouTube claims the verification checkmark represents, the perspective from the outside will always be that channels with a distinct cosmetic difference are special in some way. So companies might look at verified channels and say, well, they're clearly more official than this other creator who isn't verified for whatever reason. There's a perception element to it. And so ACG, for example, the game reviewer, highlighted how it might be less likely that he might get review copies for video games from certain companies because his channel was going to be de-verified. He said that verification, that checkmark, that minor cosmetic difference does in fact affect how companies view a channel and its content and its prospects. And finally, when people interact with each other on YouTube, so if I go ahead and comment on another creator's content, my name has that check mark on it, so it's very easy for people to tell, okay, that's the real deal guy, and it's easy for people to interact with me in the comments and for other creators to network with each other, knowing that actual bona fide creators that are verified are interacting with them. So there are multiple facets to the check mark beyond it being just a check mark. You know, it's not the be-all end-all for a channel, but it does have enough influence that people do seek out to get that verification from YouTube so that the algorithm favors them or treats them more fairly, so that their channels are viewed more favorably outside of YouTube by companies who might be interested in working with them or sponsoring them, whatever it is, so on and so forth. In the end, I am glad YouTube did take a step back. It is unfortunate that they even thought about implementing this crapdown here in the first place. It is unfortunate that they even thought de-verifying channels that have already been verified. that are the real deal, that we know are the real deal, that they thought that was a good idea in the first place. It is unfortunate that we have to cause this much ruckus for YouTube to realize, oh, what we're about to do now is really stupid, we're gonna back off. But at the very least, they did acknowledge that they made a mistake and they pulled back. Now, I wish they would fix other stuff that's really wonky with YouTube. So, for example, right here, Lacey Green a few days ago talked about how her channel was suspended at one point because her content was flagged for impersonation. Now, this is the important bit. She was suspended for impersonating Lacey Green, who is herself. I'm sure you see the contradiction there. It makes absolutely no sense. And then apparently a Real Human manually reviewed Lacey's appeal to this and upheld the suspension of her channel because Lacey Green impersonated Lacey Green. She was herself. That was her error. So weird crap like this happens across the board. I hope she got her channel back. I'm not sure. Okay, so it reads right here, update, YouTube decided that I am not impersonating myself and finally let me back into my account. So that's good, but situations like these where people's channels get suspended for bizarre reasons, this stuff shouldn't be happening in the first place. There's the fact that YouTube has stopped displaying exact follower and subscriber counts as of September. And so if you go to a website like Social Blade, where a lot of people keep track of analytics and stuff, you can see now it's all by 1K increments rather than exact values. And last but not least, there's the demonetization or wrongly flagging videos aspect of YouTube. This is something that I tweeted because one of my videos, the NBA 2K gambling video, one of them got flagged for being inappropriate, after which there was a manual review, and then they said, oh, great, actually, it doesn't violate any policies, it isn't inappropriate, our bad, except at that point, the views had peaked, and I had lost all of that revenue because YouTube reviewed the video so late, like over 24 hours after that video was posted is when they realized that their AI had made a mistake and they provided no recompense. So this happens to a lot of people. The demonetization, the automatic flagging, YouTube punishing a video before they can truly fully verify whether it meets guidelines or not. So all of this compounds, you know? If this badge verification fiasco was just like one thing by itself, an isolated incident, then maybe there wouldn't be so much backlash. But the fact that YouTube keeps making these kinds of mistakes, the fact that they keep baffling people who depend on this platform and kind of doing things that cripple people's livelihoods and dependence on YouTube, all of that is what pisses people off. And while I do commend them for actually listening and taking a step back in this scenario, I just hope they can altogether prevent this kind of stuff from happening and actually start enacting things that feel like a progress, like a step forward for a lot of people like myself who depend on this platform. It's stuff like this that makes people want to turn to Patreon or these external crowdfunding sources for additional revenue, because you never know what's going to happen with YouTube, whether they'll take away your verification, whether they'll demonetize your videos, your whole channel. You never know. That's why it is important, I think, to have an alternate source if you don't feel confident that YouTube is going to stick by you, which is why I have my own Patreon. It's just in case. There's just a level of not being sure about what the future holds for YouTube, what their priorities are. It feels like they're prioritizing your Will Smiths over your bona fide content creators. It's disheartening to see scenarios like these constantly play out, but I'm glad that people spoke up and that people speaking up was ultimately enough to force YouTube's hand to retract their attempt to de-verify people and push for celebrities and recognize prominent entities to take priority. So that's my take on this whole situation. I'd love to hear what your take is on YouTube backtracking and backpedaling on all of this in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.